السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, you will come to a new session about المنقذ من الضلال. We're still on Imam al-Ghazali, talking about Imam al-Ghazali's brilliant book, Systematic Doubt, المنقذ من الضلال. Of course, previously we talked about Imam al-Ghazali's classification of the philosopher's knowledge, as he put it eloquently. Yeah. But to refresh our mind, Imam al-Ghazali, Raḥmatu'Llāhi alayhi, in his search for truth, has divided the groups into the groups that were then in the Muslim society, the social groups, as far as knowing is concerned, as far as epistemology is concerned. Imam al-Ghazali divided these social, you may call it intellectual groups into four main categories. You have the category of mutakallimin, and the category, this is the first group, and the second group, the category of philosophers, and you have the category of the mutasawwifa, the Sufi, and then you have the category of the Batinites. So these were the social intellectual groups that were seeking for truth. And Imam al-Ghazali, in his search for truth, had to actually do research about all these groups, in order for him to, to come up, or in order for him to know the truth, and also to be certain about what he's going to adopt later on, was based on research, on knowledge, on knowing, and so on and so forth. And then Imam al-Ghazali, then we talked about the mutakallimin, and he defined al-Kalam, very clearly, and we talked about it in detail, plus, in previous sessions. And then the second group, the second category Imam al-Ghazali is talking about right now is the category of the philosophers. Since most of Imam al-Ghazali's problems are with the philosophers, so that's why he is focusing more on the philosophers. And he started by, in a way, Imam al-Ghazali, as usual, is not a kind of scholar that jumps into judging people, into judging the statesmen. He wants to base, all his judgments on premises. And one of these premises is to introduce First, the group of knowledges brought about by the philosophers, introduced by the philosophers. So he looked into philosophy in general, and he classified philosophy into two main branches, into 6 main branches. Number one is mathematics. So as far as philosophers' knowledge are concerned, mathematics was part and parcel of philosophy. So Imam Ghazali said mathematics, logic, science, metaphysics, politics, and ethics. And Imam Ghazali started with mathematics, and he said that mathematics has no problem at all. Mathematics is a neutral, objective knowledge and has nothing to do with religion per se. But here, as we said, had nothing to do with religion, is that he means that religion does not really say too much about mathematics, even though we have some general concept of mathematics in the Quran and some in the Sunnah, but it does not mean the Quran is a book of mathematics. So this is what Imam Ghazali wants to say, that mathematics has nothing to do with religion. Meaning, yeah, you have general concepts, but religion is not something that is there to do mathematics. Yeah. And in that, Imam Ghazali, and rightfully so. From there, Imam al-Ghazali's second branch of philosophy is logic. Of course, when he was talking about philosophy, he highlighted that though philosophy is praiseworthy, there are 2 drawbacks related to mathematics. Mathematics. Yeah, for him, mathematics is praiseworthy. It has to do with calculation, arithmetic, geometry, something that is good, something that is praiseworthy. But yet he said that there are 2 drawbacks attached to mathematics, not to mathematics per se, but to people dealing with mathematics. You have one person, especially because he was addressing Muslim, a Muslim that reads mathematics, gets to know mathematics and how accurate mathematics is, and therefore can easily be carried away by the accuracy he sees in mathematics, by thinking also that other sciences and other branches of sciences from the philosopher also are as accurate as their mathematics. So he may fall into trap of being obsessed with the philosophers. So Imam Ghazali just want to draw home the point with regard to this. Yeah, that even though mathematics is accurate, it does a lot for us. It calculates shapes and all this. Yet, we should not be carried away thinking that whatever that comes from the philosophers, including metaphysics and all this, should be also accurate. So this is number one. And number two, a Muslim that is so a zealous Muslim, so enthusiastic and so zealous about Islam to the extent that they deny mathematics. So he said that this is ignorance, this is sheer ignorance. You can't deny mathematics, and you can't treat mathematics to something blameworthy. For him, mathematics is praiseworthy, but it is objective and has nothing to do with religion in a sense, as we mentioned that Quran and Sunnah are not books of mathematics. Yeah, they are general concepts related to mathematics, but they are not mathematics. So I hope that this is clear, because we need to understand this. So For mathematics, Imam al-Ghazali had nothing to do with it. Mathematics is praiseworthy. Apart from these two drawbacks relate to the person dealing with mathematics, the Muslim dealing with mathematics. Okay. Number two, logic. He said good things also about logic. You know, how come? Because he himself wrote brilliant books on mathematics. Today we're talking about Al-Mustasfa, which is one of the brilliant, books written by Imam al-Ghazali. The introduction to Al-Mustasfa is logic. Yeah. And Imam wrote a lot of books on whole and, other books as well on logic. So logic for him is an a priori kind of branch of knowledge. It is praiseworthy, and there is no problem, and of course, here and there, the drawbacks of syllogism sometimes. He alluded to it, but not per se. That in general, for him, logic is, yeah. And he also mentioned that logic has nothing to do with religion. Religion does not negate it. La ithbat wa la inkar. So it does not negate it, nor does it really say there's something that we, meaning that Quran does not, religion does not really take logic in a systematic way that we do it nowadays. You can find some general concepts of logic in the Quran, a lot, but what Imam Ghazali wants to say, Quran in the end is not a book of syllogism. It's not a book of syllogism at all. Yeah. So after talking about logic and mentioning that logic is something praiseworthy, Imam al-Ghazali, all these is, an attempt to Imam al-Ghazali to do the philosophers some justice. Yeah. So he wants to tell us the philosophy is not all bad. On the contrary, contrary to what many people believe, that Imam al-Ghazali came to, in a way, deal a blow to critical thinking in the Muslim society. Contrary to this, is clearly in front of you. You can see Imam al-Ghazali actually did justice to the philosophers. And the reason why he was doing that, to the extent of classifying in detail their knowledges, in order to tell you that, okay, this knowledge is good, this is praiseworthy, this is objective, and even the metaphysics. He did not criticize everything on the metaphysics. He would take on three main things that where he thinks can be treated as kufr only. You have 20 issues that he had with the philosophers. And none of these issues have to do with logic and mathematics and critical thinking at all. As opposed to what people think, especially in the West. I think that they should reread Imam al-Ghazali. They should rethink Imam al-Ghazali as, instead of, someone who undermines critical thinking in the Muslim world, to someone who is a pioneer of critical thinking. Look at Imam al-Ghazali as if, we were talking about academia today. Everything is, systematically discussed, systematically classified. So after logic, he said he divided philosophy into 6 main branches: mathematics, logic, and علم الطبيعيات. علم الطبيعيات, basically science. Yeah, I mean the science of natures. الطبيعة is nature, the science of nature, including ourselves. Which is basically and which is clearly science with all its branches, biology, physics. Yeah. فهو بحث عن عالم السماوات وكواكبها. Then Imam al-Ghazali is talking about science here, because science is part and parcel of the sciences introduced by the philosophy. And basically, at his time, reading philosophy means that you're reading all of this. Mathematics is included, logic, and obviously science, and all its branches. فهو بحث عن عالم السماوات وكواكبها. So science is a search on the universe, or the world of heavens and stars. Basically cosmology. Yeah. So science, cosmology is part and parcel of science. Yeah. وما تحتها من الأجساد المفردة, and all what is included in it as non-composite complex bodies, كالماء والهواء والتراب والنار, such as water, air, sun or soil, والنار, fire. So these are non-composite, according to Imam al-Ghazali, non-composite bodies. And also it is the study of al-Ajsam al-Murakkaba and composite bodies, كالحيوان, such as animal, النبات, plant, والمعادن, and minerals. Yeah. And it's also the study of how these change, تغيرها وامتزاجها, and how, what are the causes that make all these, non-composite bodies and composite bodies change and mix together. What are the causes? And also, science includes the study of things, which is medicine. Medicine about the body of man, of human being, meaning anatomy, man anatomy, وأعضائه, in his parts, its main parts, وأسباب استحالة مزاجه, and how, the science of how a human mood changes. This is more of psychology, so probably psychology was part of maybe probably medicine, because استحالة مزاج here has to do with the mood, of human being. وكما ليس من شرط الدين إنكار علم الطب. Okay, so as it is not a condition of a religion to deny medicine, فليس من شرطها أيضا إنكار ذلك العلم. So it is not also part of the condition of religion to negate science. ذلك العلم. Understand? ذلك العلم, that science. That science means it goes back to علم الطبيعيات, which is the science of nature, is including our universe, including ourselves, including everything around us. So science, medicine is not something on the contrary, something praiseworthy. It's praiseworthy by the deen. It's praised by the deen, and deen does not really negate it. So deen does not also negate science. إلا في مسائل معينة, except from few issues, meaning that in general, the religion does not treat science as something bad, as something blameworthy. On the contrary, medicine is something blameworthy according to Deen. Yeah. If it is so, then all the sciences also are praiseworthy, just like medicine, except from few issues that Imam al-Ghazali take on science in general, and rightly so. And he said, ذكرناها في كتاب تهافت الفلاسفة. These few issues were mentioned in our book entitled Tahafut al-Falasifa, the incoherence of the philosophers. So Imam al-Ghazali wrote another book, prior to MUNQIDH al-AL-ﷺ, where he took on the philosophers. First, he wrote a brilliant book on Maqasid al-Falasifa, which is basically the objectives of the philosophers. And later on, after in a very brilliant way, introducing the philosophers, ideas and concepts and all this stuff, explaining them, later on, he refuted, the same book by writing this brilliant book entitled Tahafut al-Falasifa, where he also classified the knowledges introduced by the philosopher into groups, praising some, but blaming some, especially metaphysics. Imam al-Ghazali takes more on metaphysics than anything else. But science, he doesn't have any problem. As he said here, science is something blameworthy, something praised by the D, except from a few things. The Karnaha, we mentioned them in Tahafut al-Falasifa. Of course, he's not going to mention all of this, but he's going to tell us in total, in general, what are these things that are blameworthy according to Deen. إلا في مسائل معينة. So science is all praiseworthy, something good, except from few things. ذكرناها في كتاب تحافظ الفلاسفة, which we mentioned in our book entitled تحافظ الفلاسفة. وما عداها مما يجب المخالفة فيها. And all what all what has all what we need also to go against with in general. So first, فإن التأمل, so after meditation, after contemplating, and after in-depth investigation, يتبين أنها, that these few issues that he believes do not go hand in hand with Islamic principles, mundarija tahtaha, are all, all come from science, وأصل جملتها. So he will say, what are these things? أن تعلم, so you should know. All these boil down, all these few issues, all of these issues that do not go or do not comply with Islamic principle, do not go hand in hand with Islamic principle, are to be summarized into one sentence, which is أن تعلم, you should know أن الطبيعة مسخرة لله تعالى. You should know that nature is made, is made subservient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nature is a subservient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لا تعمل بنفسه. It does not function by itself. It does not function mechanically. بل هي مستعمل من جهة فاطرها. بل هي مستعملة من جهة فاطرها. It is controlled by its creator. So nature is subservient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and does not function by itself. It is rather, it is rather controlled by its creator. وَالشَّمْسِ وَالْقَمَرُ وَالنُّجُومِ, and the sun, the moon, and also the stars, and also all the bodies, musakharatun. Musakharatun are made subservient, are controlled bi amrihi, are controlled by the will, the command of God. لا فعل لشيء منها بذاته عن ذاته. Nothing will function by itself mechanically. Understand? Of course, Imam al-Ghazali, subhanallah, he is trying to say science is praiseworthy, that you have to be careful of the philosophical underpinnings of science, the epistemological underpinnings of science. And we all know that science is basically physics and all this claim that this world works and functions mechanically without an intelligent design. So this very philosophical idea does not go hand in hand with Islamic principles. Yeah. So this is the only thing that Imam al-Ghazali takes on the philosophers. Science is good. Science, on the contrary, it seems that the way Imam al-Ghazali divides science into composite and non-composite, the world, into cosmology and medicine and all this anatomy, it seemed that Imam al-Ghazali, had, even if he was not a medical doctor, it seemed that Imam al-Ghazali had I would say, some knowledge about science in general. So he says all these are good, excellent, yeah, but he was not comfortable with the principles that underpin philosophies. That's science. That's it. So that's it. You see. So this is fair enough. Doing justice. It's okay. This is what the philosophers believe as far as science is concerned. Yeah, their science is good. The practice is good. It's excellent. It brings about many things, but we have to be careful about the philosophical, epistemological underpinnings of this very idea. So the world, the universe does not function mechanically by itself, as Western people believe. So this is what I think, that this is where they have problem with Imam al-Ghazali. And this has nothing to do with logical and critical thinking. This has to do with the very belief that the world works mechanically. And this has nothing to do with critical thinking. So what is, I don't know, why Imam Ghazali is very often looked at as someone who undermines the critical thinking in the Muslim society. I don't understand that. Where is the source of it? If you have the source of it, just let me know. We are just reading al-MUNQIDH min al-AL-Ɂ, and the reason why we are reading this book is to go line by line, not to refute anyone, but it is clear so far that this is, sheer accusation. There is no evidence to that. Yeah, it is clear. It is clearly written in Arabic. There is nothing alluding to it. If you find anything, please let me know. Okay, so This is science number 3. This is branch number 3 of the 6 main branches. So mathematics, logic, AL-MUNQIDH, all these are praiseworthy, you know, apart from science where he has problem with the self-contained world, you know, working mechanically by itself. He has problem with that. So he criticizes that, you know. Apart from that, science is good, anatomy is good, medicine is good, you know, cosmology, all these are sciences that he praises a lot. AL-<hesitation>, which is branch number 4, metaphysics. So now he's going to talk about the philosopher's metaphysics, because metaphysics is part and parcel of their philosophy. Yeah. So then when you read philosophy, all these sciences were all together, you know, classified. You have science with all its branches, you have mathematics, you have logic. So these are the books that were then, and these are what people used to read. Yeah. So their metaphysics, AL-ﷺ, ففيها أكثر أغاليطهم. So Imam al-Ghazali from the get-go said, okay, this is where they have problems, they have fallacies, they have illusions, they have pseudo-paraphrasia. So this is where the problem comes in. No, this is where we are going to find most of the problems, not in the mathematics, not in logic, not in even science, despite the fact that Imam al-Ghazali, you know, criticized the philosophical underpinnings of their science, physics and anatomy and all this, and biology. Yet, he has not openly criticized them in everything as far as science is concerned. But in ilahiyat, he said that, oh, you know, stop here. From the get-go, he started criticizing. He said, فَفِيهَا أَكْثَرُ أَغَالِيَطِهِمْ. This is where most of the fallacies are found. This is where most of the problems are found. This is where, you know, you find the pseudo, you know, paraphrasia. فما قدروا على الوفاء بالبراهين على ما شرطوه في المنطق. يا سلام. He said they did not do justice. Look at Imam al-Ghazali. فما قدروا على الوفاء. They did not do justice. They were not loyal to the premises, to a priori premises they set in their own logic, in their syllogism. Subhanallah. He said that as if Imam al-Ghazali wanted to say, had they, you know, stick to the a priori evidence and premises, they wouldn't have made all these misgivings. They wouldn't have made all these errors. So they did, the logic is wonderful, the syllogism is wonderful. It should have led them to a right conclusion. But rather, they did not do justice to their own premises that they set in the syllogism, in their own logic. So that's a problem. So you put logic, you study logic, you know, because Imam Ghazali said their logic is wonderful. Their logic is wonderful. The premises are clear. Everything is clear and all this. And Muslim, by the way, benefited from Aristotle logic, syllogism a lot. You know, if you see most of the branches, most of the branches of knowledge in Islam, you will find a logic in it. You know, you pick, you know, usul al-fiqh, there's logic in it. Even Arabic language, you know, Ibn Hisham made Arabic logic. When you read Ibn Hisham, as if you were reading logic. If you really want to, especially the mabhath, the study of ad-dalalat. If you really want to find the application of it, Ibn Hisham books on Arabic language are perfect example for someone really to learn how to apply logic and syllogism. You know, you're talking about what again? Usul al-fiqh. Usul al-fiqh is plenty of syllogism. Ilm al-mantiq. What else? Ilm al-hadith. Ilm al-hadith, when you read Nukhbat al-Fikr and then Nuzhat al-Nazar by Al-Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, is all full of logic. So logic is something praiseworthy. Imam Ghazali himself in his Al-Mustasfa, I told you the introduction is mantiq, because he wanted to tell you that in order for you to understand ilm usul al-fiqh, no, you have to master ilm al-mantiq. Otherwise, you know, you won't be able to understand what is on. The am, the khas, the mutlaq, the muqayyad, the al-umum, al-khusus, you know, all these are concepts that without understanding ilm al-mantiq, it becomes very difficult for you to understand. So Imam al-Ghazali, in a way, you know, he's setting it is being clear at the get-go, at the beginning, telling us that the problem with the philosophers, as far as the metaphysics is concerned, and the errors that are found in their metaphysics are due to the fact that they did not do justice to their own premises set in the syllogism, in the mantiq. So it's not Imam al-Ghazali's fault if they did not do justice, if they did not stick to their own premises and evidence, you know, as you know, plainly stated in their own syllogism. ولذلك كثر الاختلاف بينهم فيه ولا أيوة. You see, he said that's why issues related to metaphysics, you will find that the philosophers also differ a lot. Why? Because they got carried away, you know. They went astray away from their own logic. Understand? So this is where the problem comes in. So Imam وَلِذَلِكَ كَثُرَ الْاخْتِلَافُ بَيْنَهُم. You know, even between the philosophers, they have a lot, you know, they have differences. They differ a lot. They differ very greatly among themselves. وَلَقَدْ قَرُبَ مَذْهَبُ Aristotelis. He said that the school of thought of Aristotle, within the school, Aristotle's school of thought, within the same school of thought, you know, you will find, mashallah, a lot of differences. Within Aristotle school of thought, we are not talking about other philosophers, you know, talking about Imam Aristotle school of thought, you know, you will find many statesmen, and some of them are very contradictory, within the same philosophical school of thought, which is Aristotle's school of thought, you know, min madhahib al-Islami. Just like what, you know, the differences that we have as far as ilm al-kalam is concerned, we also have differences. We also have different school of thought, you know. You have the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Even within the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, you have the Maturidites, you have the Asha'ira, and also you have Al-Mu'tazila on one hand, and you have the Jabriya, you have the Qadariya. So we have, mashallah, if you read Milal wal Nihal, you will find, mashallah, the sects and groups that differ upon metaphysics into many school of thought. The same thing is there in the Aristotle school of thought. Only in the Aristotle school of thought, according to Imam al-Ghazali, you have many sects, you have many ideas, you have many positions. Absolutely. على ما نقله الفارابي وابن سينا. So Imam al-Ghazali actually is in a way stating this based on what he read from al-Farabi wa Ibn Sina. Because Farabi and Ibn Sina were considered in the Muslim society as the two philosophers, and they were too obsessed by Aristotle. Actually, they are the ones that translated Aristotle's works into Arabic. The likes of Imam al-Ghazali got to know Aristotle and the ideas of Aristotle through al-Farabi. Then, of course, Imam al-Ghazali later on put forth the objectives and also refute them. And mostly when Imam al-Ghazali referred to philosophers, so he refers to Farabi and Ibn Sina. So he had a problem. He had so many takes on Farabi, Ibn Sina in many issues. ولكن مجموع ما غلطوا فيه يرجع إلى 20 أصلا. So Imam al-Ghazali is saying, so if you were to study all these illusions and fallacies and pseudo, paraphrasia, you can summarize all these issues, all these fallacies into 20 issues, so the fallacies are 20. So 20 fallacies in general, 20 problems Imam al-Ghazali came up with through doing his research. Okay, he said يجب تكفيرهم في ثلاثة منها. So in 3 fallacies, in 3 issues, they should be treated to kufr. Yeah, it amounts to kufr in these 3 issues. Yeah, يجب تكفيرهم في ثلاثة منها. In only 3 that they must be treated as kuffar in 3 things. وتبديعهم في 17. And they must be treated and should be treated to bid'ah, to ahlul bid'ah, in 17 fallacies. So all the fallacies are 20. 3 of these issues amount to kufr, and the rest, which is 17, amount to bid'ah. So meaning that if you see someone believing in these 17, they are ahlul bid'ah. They should be treated as ahlul bid'ah. But when you see someone believing in the 3, then they should be treated as kuffar. Yeah. ولإبطال مذهبهم في هذه المسائل 20 صنفنا كتاب التحافظ. Subhanallah. And in order to counter dialogue, or in order to refute the school of thought as far as these issues are concerned, these 20 issues are concerned, we have come up with a book. We have written a book entitled At-Tahafud, Tahafud al-Falasifa. So Imam al-Ghazali refuted and rebuked, and also so mercilessly the philosophers in these 20 issues in his book At-Tahafud al-Falasifa. So if you were to see the detail of this, so we should read Tahafud al-Falasifa. أما المسائل الثلاث فقد خالفوا فيها كافة المسلمين. Okay, as far as the 3 issues are concerned, because you have 3 which has to, which you say that amount to kufr, and 17 amount to bid'ah. So فقد خالفوا فيها كافة المسلمين. Say, as for the 3, the philosophers went against كافة المسلمين, all the Muslims, regardless of the school of thought. All the school of thoughts in the Muslim world do not really comply with these 3 issues. So what are these 3? What are these 3 issues? Imam Ghazali is going to enumerate them one by one. So one fallacy, the one issue is the statement إن الأجساد لا تحشر, that bodies do not resurrect, are not going to to rise, that the bodies are not going to rise after death. Yeah, this is one of the fallacies. I'm sorry, just a second. I'm running out of battery. So just a second, bring my... Can I have this? Yeah, can I have this? Charger. Charger. Thank you. Yeah, sorry for the cut, for the interruption. Yeah, but I was running out of battery and I needed to bring my charger from another room. Okay, anyhow, so Imam Ghazali, we're talking about three issues. You know, the philosopher should be treated as kuffar accordingly. What are these issues? What are these statements? The statement, Inna al-ajsada la tuhshar, that bodies do not rise after death. You know, that meaning that they do not resurrect. So this is the idea. وإنما المثاب وإنما المثاب والمعاقب هي الأرواح المجردة. So that reward and punishment are going to be inflicted on the souls, not the bodies. So for them, bodies are not going to resurrect, are not going to rise after death. Yeah. So basically, the reward and punishment mentioned basically by by books. By by the Quran and the Torah and all these, the reward and the punishment, both are going to be inflicted on the soul only, not the body. والمثوبات والعقوبات روحانية لا جسمانية. Rewards and punishments are spiritual, not physical. So this is basically what the philosophers say, which is in a way denying clear ayats that say that we are going to, in the Quran and the Sunnah, that the bodies and the souls are going to rise again and be punished accordingly. That's why those who are going to be punished in Jahannam will feel it, and those who are in Jahannam also will enjoy all the beautiful things. So this proves that the bodies are going to rise again. So this is one thing in their metaphysics. Look, Imam al-Ghazali is very accurate. So when you are When you hear people about Imam al-Ghazali taking on metaphysics, on the philosophy of metaphysics, you think that, oh, Imam al-Ghazali is totally ravishing everything. No, look at how picky he is. He just picked, some of the issues, some of the statesmen he thinks is problematic, and trying to deal with them. And he is stating them very clearly to you. And this has nothing to do with critical thinking and creativity and thinking scientifically. This has nothing to do with it. This has to do with, Yawm al-Qiyamah. This has to do with eschatology, which is not something based on logic and rationality. So you can't come and accuse Imam al-Ghazali of dealing blow to science and critical thinking and mathematics and logic. This is unwarranted. This is unwarranted by some of the pseudo scholars in the West. Yeah, I call them pseudo scholars because it's clearly that it is clear that they did not do their job. They did not do Imam al-Ghazali the justice Imam al-Ghazali did to the philosophers. وَلَقَدْ صَدَقُوا فِي إِثْبَاتِ الرُّوحَانِيَّةِ. Okay, of course, they have, look at how objective Imam al-Ghazali is. He's still doing them justice, even talking about something that is treated as kufr. All the Muslims, school of thought, will treat this as kufr. If you say that the bodies do not resurrect, they don't rise again, if you look at all the school of thoughts in the Muslim society, will tell you that this is sheer kufr. This is denying plain statements by the Quran and the Sunnah. But despite all this, look at Imam al-Ghazali. Look at what he's going to say. وَلَقَدْ صَدَقُوا فِي إِثْبَاتِ الرُّوحَانِيَّةِ. They were right. They were right in what? And in conceiving that that the soul is a being. في إثبات الروحانية. So soul and spirituality is something that is there. So they don't deny that, they reaffirm that, they confirm that, and they confirm the fact also فَإِنَّهَا كَائِنَ أَيْضًا. It is a being, it's also a being. So soul is a being. وَلَكِنْ كَذَبُوا. But they lied في إنكار الجسمانية. They only lied in denying the body, being resurrected. So that's the problem. وَكَفَرُوا بِالشَّرِيعَةِ فِيمَا نَطَقُوا بِهِ. Therefore, by denying the rise of the bodies after death, by denying that, they are also denying Sharia. Yeah. So when they deny that, they're also denying Sharia. Because if you deny the rise of the bodies after death, as if you were denying the Quran and the Sunnah. Because in the Quran and the Sunnah, it is plainly stated that the bodies are going to rise after death. Very clearly. And the thawab, the reward, and the iqab, and the punishment are both inflicted on the bodies. Yeah. وَمِنْ ذَلِكَ قَوْلُهُمْ. So this is number one. This is one statement where they should be treated as kuffar. So Imam al-Ghazali is here yet discussing the statements. He's not telling you that the philosophers, especially Farabi and Ibn Sina, are kuffar. He never says that. He is giving you the statement. This is their statements. So this is one statement denying the rise of the bodies after death. Okay. Okay. Statement number 2. Inna Allah ta'ala ya'lamu al-kulliyat dun al-juziyat. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala know universals, not particles. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only knows universals, not particles. So this is statement number 1. So what does it mean? It means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, for example, that there are people on this earth. Probably there are Muslims and non-Muslims in all this. But Allah, for example, does not know that there is a person sitting right now in an area known as Taman Malati. Allah does not know that. And his name is, for example, Abu Bakr. And he now is reading al-MUNQIDH min al-AL-ḍalāL. So for them, these are particles. These are tiny issues. Allah do not know tiny issues. He only knows universal, you know. And this is problematic. That is to say that even if you don't pray, Allah does not know whether you prayed or not, because he does not know particles. And this is problematic. This is a clear kufr, as Imam al-Ghazali said. فَهُوَ أَيْضًا كُفْرٌ صَرِيحٌ. This is also a clear sheer kufr. بَلِ الْحَقُّ أَنَّهُ, so he is mentioning an ayah, لا يعزب عنه مثقال ذرة في السماوات ولا في الأرض. لا يعزب عنه مثقال ذرة في السماوات ولا في الأرض. So he said that the haqq, quoting from the Quran, that there is nothing, even something, a nucleus. There is not even a nucleus that escapes the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That there is not such nucleus, in the heavens, nor fil ard, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not know. So this is statement number 2, denying denying that Allah only knows universal, and he does not know particles or particulars, things that are particles. وَمِنْ ذَلِكَ قَوْلُهُمْ, and also one of the statesmen, in statement number 3, بِقِدَمِ الْعَالَمِ وَأَزَلِيَّتِهِ, the eternity of the world. They believe that the world is eternal. And وَلَمْ يَذْهَبْ أَحَدٌ مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ إِلَى شَيْءٍ مِنْ هَذِهِ الْمَسَائِلِ. All the school of thought in the Muslim world, do not comply with the philosophy in this aspect, with the eternity of the world. The world, according to us, is also created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is not as eternal as God, something that the philosophy fell miserably into. وَأَمَّا مَا وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ مِنْ نَفِئَا. Look, Imam al-Ghazali, he's going to do them justice. And he said, أَمَّا مَا وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ مِنْ نَفِئَا. So these are the three points. Imam al-Ghazali, takes on the philosophers and consider these statements to be statements of kufr. So, for example, if you deny the fact that the bodies are going to rise after death, then this is a sheer kufr, because it goes against the ayat and the ahadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And also saying that Allah only knows universal, not particulars, is also kufr, clear kufr, because this statement does not comply with the ayat and ahadith and all this. And also saying that the world, the universe is eternal, is also a sheer kufr, according to Imam al-Ghazali. So these three statements, according to Imam al-Ghazali, do not comply with all the school of thought, you know, the Muslim, all the school of, all the Muslim school of thoughts. Absolutely. None of all the school of the Kalami school of thought has said this, apart from the philosophers. So Imam Ghazali said no. So these three statesmen do not really comply with the principle, with the Islamic principles at all. But he said he singled this out, something out that, you know, has to do with the metaphysics, doing justice somehow to some of the philosophers. He said, وَأَمَّا مَا وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ مِنْ نَفِيهِمْ لِلصِّفَاتِ. As for the negation of the attributes, of the divine attributes, of the attributes of Allah, وَقَوْلُهُ إِنَّهُمْ عَالِمٌ بِالذَّاتِ, and saying that he is all-knowing through what? Through his essence. Because this is what they say, that there is no denying the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, saying that, for example, he knows through his essence, not the attribute. La bi'ilmin za'id, not with an additional knowledge on the essence. So you understand what does it mean? But for them, they consider attribute to be something additional to the essence, and therefore is hadith. Hadith means something that is created. So that's why, you know, فَمَذْهَبُهُمْ فِيهَا قَرِيبٌ مِنْ مَذْهَبِ الْمُعْتَزِلَةِ. So in this regard, you know, in this regard, this statement, you know, in a way is close to the school of thought of Mu'tazila. Because this is what they say. They're denying the attributes of Allah and saying that Allah knows through his essence. وَلَا يَجِبُ تَكْفِيرُ الْمُعْتَزِلَةِ بِمِثْلِ ذَلِكَ. And Imam al-Ghazali say, okay, just by saying that, you know, we shouldn't treat the Mu'tazilites to kufr. Subhanallah, look, despite the fact that they're denying the attributes of Allah, they're denying not for the sake of denying, but they're negating. For them, attributes as something hadith, you know, as something contingent. And Allah is eternal, and his essence is eternal. How can Allah know? How can Allah know through attribute? And that attribute for them is additional. Something additional means has been created now, which is hadith. So, so they're negating that. They're negating that contingency. Do you understand? وَلَا يَجِبُ تَكْفِيرُ الْمُعْتَزِلَةِ بِمِثْلِ ذَلِكَ. Just by negating the sifat, the attributes of Allah, they shouldn't be treated as kuffar. So saying they are not treated as kuffar, then the philosophers also, in saying such statements, shouldn't be also treated as kuffar in this particular what issue. Now, wa sallallahu. Yeah, I think that we are running out of time. So let's just finish this and stop in the Omar. وقد ذكرنا في كتاب فيصل التفرقة بين الإسلام والزندقة ما يتبين به فساد رأي من يتسارع إلى التكفير في كل من يخالف مثل. Subhanallah. Imam al-Ghazali did not only do them justice. He said that in my book entitled فيصل التفرقة, you know, بين الإسلام والزندقة, you know, a very brilliant book. He said, okay, we have expounded the idea of jumping into treating people to kufr does not comply with, you know, كل ما يخالفه is not a right thing to do. It's not a right approach. It's not a right method. Understand? It's not because people, for example, go against the idea that they should be treated as kufr immediately. No. That's why Imam Ghazali came up with this book to mention you what are the boundaries of takfir and zandaqa and Islam. You shouldn't jump into judging people. Whoever differs with you in terms of ideas, in terms of, you shouldn't jump into treating them as kuffar. So, inshallah, we stop here. Next time, we continue about the rest of the branches mentioned by Imam al-Ghazali. Of course, you have politics and then ethics. So these are the two last branches, according to Imam al-Ghazali, as far as the philosophers' epistemology is concerned. وصلى اللهم وسلم وبارك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا بالصالحات. Okay, here we stop here, inshallah. Okay, I think that we are done here. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. If you have any comments, if you have any comments, if you have something to add, let us benefit. Is there something that you want to add? If not, I think that we call it a day, inshallah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, here is my email. Okay, here is my email. Who am I talking to? Thank you to you too. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.